Alright, we're back for another track guide, this time at Sonoma. One of my favorite tracks, mostly because it's both challenging and rewarding, just to get around here. Anyways, no keys to the race card, didn't have time for it, so I'm just gonna go through all the points verbally. Number 1 is gonna be tires as usual. We'll combine that with wheel spin and all that nonsense because, you know, tires here is really important, especially the rears, so you can launch out of corners and keep the rear from sliding around in corners, like on entry. Number 2, I guess I'll combine some more. No cautions and don't speed on pit road. Pit road speed is 45 miles per hour. And I say that because there's no yellows or cautions, so you'll pretty much never make that back up. And I know tons of people start from the pits. I don't recommend it here. I recommend actually qualifying because, you know, again, track position's pretty key on a track with no cautions. And the last thing I'm going to put, if you can just keep it on the track, do some nice smooth laps, regardless if they're slow or fast, as long as you keep it on track, you'll probably have a good shot at finishing well. So that's it. We're not going to do no pit road thing, I already told you. 45 miles per hour speed limit. I say don't really cut the L. It's like a right-hand corner, I guess, like a certain part of pit road. Don't cut it as much as you want, because it nailed me before. It got me, you know, with the penalty. So I'll shut up and we'll just, we'll get to the lap. Alright, here we are about to take our lap. Fixed setup. Regular default weather, which is 114 track temp. Only change I made was brake bias, 62%, and steering ratio I put to 12, but that's just my preference. The default's 8-1, and I would leave it there because there's a lot of wheeling going on here. So that's about it. So we'll see how this lap was done, and I'll only explain like certain parts of the lap. So let's watch. Alright, I know it wasn't the cleanest lap, but it is the best I can do. So let's back that up. Alright, I don't know if you could see, but I was using 2 different styles of driving. Trail braking and non-trail braking. Just things I do, I guess. You can be fast without it, doesn't matter. Sometimes. It pretty much all depends on what the car is doing. So we're going to make our way into 1, and you can shift to 4th gear if you want, but I'm not. I'm getting as close as I can to the inside curb, while still maintaining a proper line, I guess. Now we're going to try to keep it on the inside. And you can see I'm letting out the gas even though I didn't have to, and that's to basically make it float over the bumps. Now, so I'm only using a little bit of brake. I'm turning in to this part of the corner. I'm going to straighten out a little bit, and this is where I'm going to start to get on the brakes pretty hard once I get it set for the next corner. So here I'm going to start trail braking a little bit, releasing the brake as I turn in. And then you'll see me gradually pick up the throttle pretty shortly after the brake release. And I'm going to use all the track for the reason why is it gets more, for some reason it feels like there's more grip. You know, the further out you go, as long as you're not, you know, in the sand. And that's going to set you up for the next part of the corner. You see I'm full throttle on the after. I got it pointed. Now here I'm going to brake as I'm going over the hump while turning in to the corner, trying to apex it. By then I'm already letting it roll. Now I'm going to use some gas. I'm going to use this to set the car up for the next corner. And you want to touch the curb. I got a little bit too much of it. But you want to just touch the curb so it rotates you through the rest of this corner. Now here you're going to straighten up. You can gradually get back to the throttle. You're going to full throttle for a second or two, and then you're going to get right back to releasing it and get on the brakes like you see right here. It's a pretty slow-mo lap, I know, but it's the only way I can explain it. Now here, I'm going to start to let it roll after I get off the brakes. Why? Because it seems to let it turn more towards that inner curb, and that's where you notice this year's layout compared to last year. We're taking the long version instead of the crappy short version. You can see once I got on the throttle, I pretty much stayed in it. Now here, the car is going to get really awkward, so you're going to have to lift. If you go too much to the right, you'll touch the dirt, probably kill yourself. Get it pointed straight. Now the car is just horrible. Bottoming out everywhere. Bottom's out here. Bottom's on the exit of this corner. It's coming up. Now here, you want to brake straight. I'm still in third gear. I'm going down to second gear while I'm braking. I'm going to trail brake into the corner. Then once I get it pointed, I'm going to let it roll all the way until you're ready to get back on the throttle. But you see right here, I'm getting on the throttle, playing with it. You can slam the gas here. Then you have to lift again by the exit because it starts to push really badly. If you didn't notice the amount of wheel I have in it. I'm going to upshift right there on the exit of the curb. And now we're going to set up this braking zone. I'm going to brake right here where this starts to go uphill. And I'm braking pretty much at the limit. And that's one thing I forgot to mention. You got to watch out for wheel hop if you downshift wrong. Anyways, I'm going to brake. And like you saw earlier, I'm going to release the brake as I'm turning more. We're going to let it roll. Once it gets out to here somewhere, I'm going to start letting it turn back down to do the second half of the corner or double apex. And here you should be able to stay on the throttle pretty hard once you get it straight. Like you see me do there, I got a little bit loose. We're going to shift to third right here. Go over these bumps. You want to straighten out before the exit and get your braking done. Probably mid-air, I guess. I don't know. Stay as close to these curves as you can. And even if you can go over them a little more than what I did, it'll turn the car pretty well without causing you to get a 1X. So I got loose again. I'm going to keep it in third. All the way up into this section. Now here you want to set up better than I did, so you're turning in right about this point. I'm using brakes to set it and letting it roll. And I'm picking the throttle up because it likes to turn better. I guess under throttle. And we're setting up this brake. Right after I land right here, I'm getting on the brakes pretty hard. And again, watch for wheel hop. We're going to downshift a second. Then the first gear. And I usually like to trail brake hairpin corners like this, but I kind of, well, screwed this up. You can see I'm still on the brakes. Then I'm getting on the throttle pretty quickly afterwards. And that just comes with the trail brakes. And then you're going to straighten up, gradually get back to full throttle, then punch it, shift to second, shift to third, and that should get you that 131.6. So there's not much else to say about this. It's just, you know, keep it on track, and that's all I can say to really help you out. It's a pretty tough course to get the hang of. Especially if you're, not used to road racing. Anyways, next race is probably going to be something I hate, so we'll skip it. And we'll be back at the next track that, obviously, I do. At the next track, that's under a mile, I guess. Anyways, Sim Racing Treeside.